Is it live chatting? Very good morning. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Shri Devi Mahatmyam Parayan. Wishing you all a very happy Navratri. Today is the first day of Navratri and we begin with the Ghatastapana. So let us welcome this beautiful goddess in our world so that we can win victory over the demons which is disturbing and destroying our both inner and outer world. So let us understand who is this Devi and what is her greatness. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Devi Mahatmyam. We'll first begin with the introduction, which is about Kavacha, Argala and Kilaka. I'll just give a small explanation of why we need to do this. It is like a protection. We are first seeking the blessings so that we will be able to understand this truth, the Devi Mahatmyam, which we will be starting from today till the next 9 days. Kavacha. The physical body is obscure and obstinate and prone to ailments. It is not plastic and supple like the vital or the mind. Because of its innate inertia, it is considered an impediment to spiritual progress. And there are many spiritual paths that advocate a total ignoring or suppression of the physical. But that is not the way of the Tantra. The body is the basis of the sadhana, the receptacle for the play of the divine. It has to be enlightened and made to share the experiences and progress in the mental and the vital. It has to be made strong to resist the onslaughts of the forces that stand in the way of such a change. Do you understand what happens? Why we need this protection? Because it has to be enlightened. The body has to be enlightened and progress in the mental and the vital. It has to be made strong to resist the onslaughts of the forces that stand in the way of such a change. See, when you are evolving on the path, you're going to face a lot of obstacles and you should be so strong that you're able to fight them and overcome them. The body has to be guarded and protected and the physical envelope surrounding it made strong so that these forces do not make inroads into it and attack the body in the form of illness. The device used by the sadhaka is the kavacha, a prayer acting as an armor effectuating the divine protection. The kavacha is used, kavacha in English means like a shield, a protection, a firewall. The kavacha is used to guard and protect the body, ward off illness from it and cure it from illness when it has already besieged the body. It ensures the proper distribution and operation of forces in the very cells of the body. Pindanda in consonance and harmony with the operation of the divine law in the cosmos, Brahmand, and sets right all discord. So that is why we need Kavacha. This is there in detail in Devi Mahatmyam. You can go and study. I just gave a very small introduction so you should know why we are first reading this and what is the protection we are invoking from the divine Devi, the goddess, and the gods themselves. So next is Argala. Argala means a bolt and a knowledge of its existence is necessary to open the closed doors. That is, we need to, for the knowledge to, for us to understand the knowledge, first it says Argala is like a bolt and a knowledge of its existence, which is necessary to open the bolt and the closed door, the inner chambers of our being. So we say cut the Hridaya Granthi, the heart of the knot has to be opened. So something like that, okay? The next is Kilaka. Kilaka is the kingpin in a machine, the pivot on which the whole thing hinges. There is a condition acting like a pivot, the fulfillment of which furnishes the key to open the hidden secrets. If the recital of Saptashati has to be effective, a condition has to be fulfilled, and that is mentioned in the Kilaka Stotram. With that, let us begin with Kavacham. For the Kavacha, Brahma is the seer, Anustubh is the meter, and Chamunda the deity. Salutations to Chandika. Markandeya said, Grandsire, tell me that which has not been told to anybody, the most occult in the world, that which gives men protection all round. Brahma said, Wise one, there is the most occult, the sacred Kavacha of the goddess, beneficial to all beings. Great sage, hear that. First, the daughter of the mountain. Second, the one who moves in Brahman. Third, the delightful sound. Fourth, the seed of incubation on earth. Fifth, the mother of Skanda. Sixth, Kyatyayani, the eternal virgin. Seventh, the dark night. Eighth, the great white one. And ninth, the one who grants perfection. Thus are enumerated the 9 Durgas, the Navadurgas. These names have been mentioned by the great Brahman himself. When consumed by fire, when in the battlefield, in the midst of enemies, when overtaken by fear, in a crisis, in an impasse, if men take refuge in the mother, no evils befall them. In a critical battle, I do not envisage any distress coming to them. There is absolutely no fear of grief or misery. If she is remembered with devotion, surely accomplishment is effected in their cases. Stationed on the corpse is Chamunda. Seated on the buffalo is Varahi. Aindri is mounted on the elephant. Vaishnavi seated on Garuda. Maheshwari is mounted on the bull. Kaumari is borne by the peacock. Decked with all ornaments, Brahmi is mounted on the swan. Beautiful with their varied ornaments, lustrous with their multifarious jewels. Angry and agitated, the goddess are perceived mounted on the chariots. Conch, discus, mace, lance, plowshare, and the pestle. Shield, iron club, battle axe, noose, spear, trident, and the great bow Saranga. Yeah, these weapons they wield for destroying the bodies of the Asuras, for the weal of the gods, and for instilling fearlessness in the devotees. O thou of great strength, of great zeal, destroyer of immense fear, increaser of fear in our enemies, Devi, quite difficult for our perception, protect me. May the force of Indra protect me in the east and the goddess of Agni in the southeast. May Varahi guard me in the south and the wielder of the sword in the southwest. May the force of Varuna protect me in the west and the force of Vayu mounted on the deer in the northwest. May the force of Kubera protect me in the north and the wielder of the trident in the northeast. Above, may Brahmi protect me, and below, may Vaishnavi afford protection. Thus, may Chamunda, mounted on the corpse, protect in the 10 quarters. Let victory, Jaya, stand in front of me, and conquest, Vijaya, stand in the rear. Let the undefeated Ajita stand on my left, and the unvanquished Aparajita on my right. Let the luminous on one guard the tuft of my hair established in the head, let Uma protect. May the one who wears the garland guard in the forehead, and the one possessed of fame in the eyebrows. The three-eye dawn in the space between the eyebrows, and in the nose, the force of restrained sound. The bearer of the conch in the middle of the eyes, and in the ears, the dweller are the portals. May Kalika protect the cheeks and the force of Shankara behind the ears. The sweet smelling in the nostrils and sweetly smeared in the upper lip. The digit of nectar in the lower lip and Saraswati in the tongue. May the force of Kumara guard the teeth and Chandika in the middle of the neck. May the one of varied sound protect the uvula, and may Mahamaya protect the palate. May Kamakshi guard my chin and all the auspicious my speech. The auspicious Kali in the neck and the wielder of the bow in the backbone. The force of Nilakanta in the outer neck and Nala Kubari in the throat. May the wielder of the sword guard my two shoulders and my arms, the wielder of the thunderbolt. May the possessor of the staff guard my hands and the fingers, the mother. May the goddess with the trident protect the nails. May Naleshwari protect the abdomen. May Mahalakshmi, the dispeller of mental anguish, guard my breasts. In the heart, the goddess Lalita. In the stomach, the wielder of the trident. In the navel, the goddess of love. Likewise, may the lady of occult secrets protect the private parts. Let Bhagavati guard the hips and the dweller in Vindhyas, the knees. Let the head of beings guard my genital and one who mounts the buffalo my thighs. The giver of all desires, the goddess of immense strength, has to be invoked in the shanks, in the ankles, the forces of Narasimha, and in the feet, the goddess of immeasurable luster. May Shri guard the fingers in the feet, and let the dweller in the nether regions guard the sole of the feet. The sole, it's S-O-L-E. May the one looking terrible with fangs guard the nails, and the one with high tresses, the hair. May the force of Kubera guard the pores in the skin, and may the lady of speech guard the skin. Let the daughter of the mountain guard the blood, the marrow of the bone and flesh, bone and fat. Let the goddess of dark night guard the entrails, and the crowned sovereign the bile. Let the lady of the lotus guard the lungs, and the lady with a jewel in her crest the phlegm. Let the flame face one guard the luster of my nails, and the unbreakable one in all the joints. Let Brahma's force protect my semen, and the goddess with the regal umbrella my shadow. May the one whose movement is in dharma, the law of being, protect my mind, intellect, ego, and the 5 vital breaths, prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. Let the force of Vishnu always guard my name, fame, and prosperity. The force of Indra, my cowpen, and Chandika, my cows. May Mahalakshmi guard my offsprings, and Bhairavi, my wife. Let the doer of good, Vijaya, stand everywhere and protect my path. O goddess, protect all those places that have been left unprotected by the Kavacha, conquering and destroying the sins on the way. If one cares for one's welfare, one should never take a step without the armor. Wherever a man goes, constantly surrounded by the Kavacha, there for him the attainment of ends and an all-satisfying conquest. Whatever are his wishes, he wants to be fulfilled. Yeah, he attains them. Man in this world will acquire bounteous wealth of no comparison. Mortal though he is, unvanquished in battles, he becomes fearless. The man surrounded by the Kavacha will deserve worship in all the 3 worlds. This Kavacha of the goddess is difficult of acquisition even for the gods. Whosoever reads this at dawn, noon or dusk, every day with faith and discipline, he becomes unvanquished in the triple world and a portion of the divine manifests in him. He will live for the full span of 100 years, free from unnatural or accidental death. All disease arising out of cuts, eruptions, smallpox, etc. will perish. Poison naturally arising out of the movable and immovable in the world, and also poison administered from outside, all charms and talismans pertaining to black magic. Those moving on earth, those moving in the sky, those born in water, those directed and induced by others, those born with oneself, those born in one's family, Mala, Sakini, Dakini and other forces. Dakinis, possessed of immense strength, terrible, moving in midair, spirits that possess elemental beings, ghosts, yakshas, gandharvas and demons. Brahmarakshakas, goblins, Kushmandas, Bhairavas, etc. all perish at the sight of one when one has the kavacha in one's heart. Prestige with the king will rise. This kavacha is the best means of increasing one's might. He will grow in fame as well, his name spreading throughout the world. First, one should do the kavacha and then recite the Chandi Pata of 700 verses as long as the globe of the earth stands with its hills, dales and forests. His descendants of sons and grandsons last on this earth. When life in the body ends, by the grace of Mahamaya, the man attains the eternal supreme station, which is difficult to be attained even for the gods. Thus ends the kavacha of the goddess forged by Vishnu, Shiva and Brahma in the Varaha Purana. With that, we begin with Argala Stotram. For Argala Stotra, Vishnu is the seer, the meter is Anustubh and the deity is Mahalakshmi. Salutations to Chandika. Victorious, auspicious, dark, the Bhadrakali, possessed of the skull, Durga, patience, good, the upholder and sustainer. Swaha, Swadha to thee, be the salutations. O thou who drove away Madhu and Kaithab, O giver of good to Brahma, salutations, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou who destined the destruction of Mahishasur, giver of boons, salutations, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Having all bowing at thy feet, O goddess, giver of all auspicious things, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou who killed Raktabija, O destroyer of Chanda and Munda, O goddess, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou of form and activity beyond the ken of thought, O destroyer of all enemies, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O Chandika, who dispels the distress of those who always bow with devotion, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O Chandika, who destroys the disease of those who laud thee with devotion, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O Chandika, whoever constantly worships thee with devotion, to him give the form, give the victory, give the fame and kill the enemies. Grant good fortune, health, goddess, grant supreme happiness, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Accomplish the destruction of enemies, create in us immense strength, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Goddess, confer on us well-being, confer superb prosperity, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Make the person endowed with knowledge, endowed with fame, and endowed with prosperity. Give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O Chandika, who destroyest the pride of terrific asuras, to me who has bowed down, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou of four hands, O thou lauded by the four-faced Brahma, supreme sovereign, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou who are constantly lauded with devotion by the dark Vishnu, Mother, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou who art lauded by the Lord of the daughter of the snow mountain, supreme sovereign, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O mother, whose feet get rubbed against the crest jewels of gods and asuras, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. O thou who are worshipped with true feeling by the Lord of Indrani, supreme sovereign, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Goddess who gives rise to unfettered happiness in the devotees, mother, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Bestow offsprings, bestow wealth, grant me all desires, give the form, give the victory, give the fame, kill the enemies. Grant me a wife, pleasing to the mind and born of a good family, one who follows the indications of my mind and ferries me across the difficult ocean of samsara. After reading this Lord, a person should read the great Lord, well comprised of 700 numbers of verses. Yeah, he gets the fulfillment. Thus ends the Argala Stotra in Markandeya Purana. So now we'll start Kilakam. For this Kilaka, Shiva is the seer, the meter is Anustub, and the deity is Mahasaraswati. Salutations to Chandika. Pure knowledge is his body, and the three Vedas are his eyes of divine vision. He is the cause for attaining the supreme well-being. To him who wears the half moon, salutations. Whosoever is intent on the recitation of these mantras without all this Kilaka, he also acquires well-being. All things like driving away the undesirables are effective, but for those who laud by means of this, it is effectuated by the mere Lord. There is absolutely nothing, no charm, no medicine. All things like Uchchetana are effective without japa of mantras. All are effectuated. Shiva left this for discussion in the world and made all this Lord an auspicious mantra. Yeah, the Lord of Chandika, and he made it occult. There is no end to the merit it bestows, and so he put a restraint. He, that is the sadhaka, gets all the well-being, no doubt, concentrated on the 14th or 8th day of the dark fortnight. He gives, he accepts, in no other way, she is pleased. By this pivot, it is fixed by Mahadeva. Whoever frees this from restraint and constantly recites it clearly, he is the accomplished one, Siddha. He is in the retinue of the goddess. He becomes a Gandharva in protection. When he goes about from nowhere, does fear come to him? He does not become a victim of ultimate, untimely, accidental death. After death, he attains liberation. Having known, one should begin and perform. If he does not perform, he perishes. The very fact of having known itself is fulfillment. This is begun by the knowers. All those like auspiciousness, etc., seen in the woman folk are due to her grace. Therefore, this auspicious Lord should be recited. Even when this Lord is recited slowly, lofty results to be the complete fulfillment, and therefore it has to be commenced. Why will she not be praised by people when wealth, auspiciousness, health, and other felicities, destruction of enemies, and great liberation are all her grace? Here ends the Kilaka Stotram. So with this, now we begin the Devi Mahatmyam Parayan. That is the first episode, Meditation of Mahakali. Wielding in her hands the sword, discus, mace, arrow, bow, iron club, trident, sling, human head, and conch. She has 3 eyes and ornaments decked on all her limbs. She shines like a blue stone and has 10 faces and 10 feet. That Mahakali I worship, whom the lotus-born Brahma lauded in order to slay Madhu and Kaitaba when Hari was asleep. So today we're going to be learning about Madhu and Kaitaba. It's a very beautiful episode. Stay alert, listen, and let us understand the greatness of this Devi. Om, salutations to Chandika. Om Aim Markandeya said, Savarni, son of Surya, is said to be the 8th Manu. Hear from me about his birth, while I narrate in detail how Savarni, the offspring of the sun, highly fortunate, became the head of a Manavantara by the grace of Mahamaya. Formerly, in the period of Manu, Savrochisha for the whole globe of earth. Svarochisha for the whole globe of earth, there was a king by name Surata, born in the family of Chaitra. When he was protecting his subjects well as he would his own legitimate sons, the kings who were destroyers of Kolas became his enemies. There was a battle between him, possessed of very strong forces, and them. But he was conquered in battle by the destroyer of Kolas, though they were inferior to him. Then he returned to his city and became the head of his own country. There again, that illustrious one was attacked by powerful enemies. The treasury and army of the weak king were seized by his strong, wicked ministers of evil designs, that too in his own city. Then the king, deprived of authority on the pretext of hunting, mounted on a horse and proceeded to the dense forest all alone. There he saw the hermitage of Medhas, the supreme among the twice born, the place littered with beasts of prey, tamed of their ferocity and radiant with the disciples of the sage. Receiving the hospitality of the sage, he remained there for some time, moving about hither and thither in the hermitage of the great sage. At that time, he fell into the thought, his mind gravitating towards the sense of minus. Ah, I have deserted the city, formerly guarded by my forefathers. Is it being guarded righteously or not by my bearers of evil conduct? I do not know. My chief elephant, valorous and always in rut, has fallen in the hands of my enemies. What experiences is it going to get? Those who were my constant followers for the sake of my favor, money and food are now surely rendering service to other monarchs. The treasury, accumulated with great difficulty, will be depleted, with these spendthrifts spending ceaselessly. So what is happening here? We are listening to a very beautiful story. I'm not going to interrupt, but I'm just giving you a quick background that the king, having lost everything, but there's a very beautiful word that was emphasized. The sense of mineness, my kingdom, my people, my wealth. And now he's, disturbed. He's constantly thinking, though he's in the hermitage under this great sage's presence, he's not able to understand. His own people cheated him. His own ministers, deceived him. Deceit. They went with the enemies. Now the king is left bereft. And now he's thinking about what is happening to my kingdom, my elephant, my this, my that. Are they going to rule this kingdom righteously? It is my ancestors, my forefathers were ruling. All those kind of thoughts are eating him up. And let us see what happens. The Lord of the earth was constantly thinking of these and other things there in the vicinity of the Brahman's hermitage. He saw a Vaishya. He asked him, "Who are you, sir? What is the reason of your coming here? Why do you appear to be sad and ill at ease?" Hearing the words of the king uttered in candor, the Vaishya bowed in courtesy to the king and replied. Vaishya said, I am a Vaishya named Samhadi, born in a family of moneyed men, and now cast away by unworthy sons and wife out of greed for my wealth. My sons and my wife took from me all the money and made me devoid of wealth. I have come to the forest in sorrow, abandoned by my trusted kinsmen. This is another story. Now there is one side where the king, his kingdom has been captured. His his own ministers have, cheated him, have gone and joined the hands with the new monarch. But here, if you look at the Vaishya, he's also having a similar story. Here also his own kinsmen, out of greed, his own sons and wife have thrown him out of the house. Why? Because of greed, and that is all about wealth. Stationed here, I do not know the state of affairs, good or bad, of my son's wife and kinsmen. He's also in the same state. Though he has been cheated, thrown out, he has been done everything by the same people, but he's still thinking about them. What is happening to them? He's still lost in the thoughts of these people. What does it tell you? That tells you how much this body is attached to the people where you are born from, which you think is yours. It's my father, my brother, my wife, my husband, my children. And the king also is saying the same thing. Whether it is a king or Vaishya, both have been thrown out. Okay, the cause is the same, but in a different manner. Again, if you go to the bottoms, if you go to the roots or source, you will see that it is all about greed. The lust and greed is what talking about here. That I want to get the wealth, I want the possession, I want to own this, it is mine, I want it, the desire. And it's all about greed. So in both the cases, the story is the same. It's a greed. To the king, it is happening at a bigger level, but to a Vaishya at his own level. So please remember, this is the story of Kali Yuga, rather not even Kali Yuga. This is a Purana. We are reading this from a Purana, and which has happened, even before nobody existed as well. The stories were written. This is the truth about life, and that is what we are going to learn. And understanding this truth, how do we live in our world? What should we do? That is what every scripture teaches us. So let us continue. At the present moment, are things well or not well with them at home? So he's lost whether, how is my wife doing, my son's doing? That's what he's lost in. How are they, my sons? Are they of good conduct or of evil ways? The king said, why is your mind bound in endearment to that crowd, the covetous sons and wife who deprived you of your wealth? The king is asking him this question. The Vaishya said, the same thought struck me exactly as you have uttered. But what can I do? My mind does not entertain harshness. Throwing away filial attachment and affection towards one's husband and one's kinsmen. They spurned me out of greed for my wealth, but yet my mind goes to them in affection. What is this cause? Both are questioning, why is this happening to me? Why is my mind thinking like this? I'm sure each one of us go through this in our life. This is the truth about what each one of us go through. This is the real truth. O great-minded king, thou, knowing I do not understand how it is that the mind is prone to love even towards worthless relations. This is a very profound thing they are asking. I'm going to reread this again. It's very important for you to understand. O great-minded king, though knowing I do not understand how it is that the mind is prone to love even towards worthless relations. Worthless relations. For their sake comes forth my sigh and dejection in my mind. What can I do as my mind does not become harsh towards those unloving ones? Markandeya said, O Brahman, they then jointly approached the sage, the Vaishya named Samadhi, and that noble monarch. The Vaishya and the king, observing due and proper etiquette towards him, seated themselves and conversed on some topics. The king said, "Sire, I wish to ask you something. Pray, reply to it. Without any dependence on my thoughts, my mind gives itself to grief." Don't you think we all go through this day in and day out? And here there is something very profound mentioned. When you approach a sage, a great master, how do you do? They said, the Vaishya and the king, observing due and proper etiquette towards him, seated themselves and conversed on some topics. It talks about a well behavior, a conduct. How do you approach the great master, the great gurus, or people in the positions, who are respectable, and even everybody? How do you give respect? The conduct is what is being taught, emphasized over here. Proper etiquette towards him. It's very important when you approach the learned beings, the great gurus, the knower of the Brahmans, the spiritual masters, because only they have the knowledge and answer to all your questions. Please remember, I have lost my kingdom, but yet the sense of mine in all the limbs of the government. What is this that happens to me? Though knowing as though to an ignorant man, O sage supreme. And this one is spurned by his sons and wife, abandoned by his bearers and forsaken by his own people. Even then, he is very much affectionate towards them. Thus, he and I, though we perceive the defects in a thing, are still attracted in mind towards it by the sense of mineness, and hence we both are exceedingly unhappy. Wow, this is a is a truth. See, I'll ask you a very beautiful question. Your kith and kin, your parents or your children or your wife, husband, everybody, they might do wrongdoings with you. They might say whatever it comes to. But, your behavior, you might show some anger, or you might be upset with them. But you're not going to leave them. That attachment is always going to be there. But according to you, I'm saying you in the sense you and me, the world, the people, the human beings. According to any human being, you can ask, if somebody else who's not related to that person says some things to them, whether it is a guru or anybody else, they will immediately, become objectionable. They'll say, how can you talk like this? How can this person talk like this? I will leave and walk out. I will do this. I will do that. I don't need all these things. And that is how we behave. Why is there a difference? Because we think the people born or associated with the body belong to us. There is a sense of minus here. But somebody else who is an outsider, in the sense who's not part of your blood relation, we call it, or somebody whom you consider to be not yours. In that case, we disregard. We try to say, oh, I can just walk out. I don't care about. Who cares? I don't want to live. But same thing. Will you do with your brother? Will you do with your mother? Will you do with your father? Even they can be the worst people on planet Earth. That is exactly the question here. The king is asking a very powerful, both this Vaishya and the king are asking a very powerful question. You can't leave them. Are you? My Gurudev teaches us, a very profound lesson. My Krishna Guruji has asked this question, whether it is to me or all his disciples. When the Guru teaches, right, he puts you through different tests to see whether that knowledge is understood by you or not. And those tests are very painful. And in that, what happens is we get, we are unable to get over it. We have to fight the demons within this body. See, it's not only the demons outside, the demons is within the mind itself, and we are unable to understand. At that time, we'll just say, I don't want to live this, I don't want you, I'm going to walk out. All sorts of things comes into your mind. Why? Because we don't want to accept that. We don't like that. We don't want that. We don't want to go through that. We think, who is this person? Then our ego rises. And there is no sense of minus that comes. Because the minus doesn't exist. You still think you are born to somebody else. See, one thing is very important. You need to understand this truth. The day you get initiated by your Gurudev, or even if you consider somebody your Gurudev, you become part of Vasudev Kutumbam. Your Guruji is your family. His disciples and devotees are yours. My Guruji has always asked this question. So, are you going to leave your family and go? Is the question my Guruji will ask all his disciples. Oh, you know, we get into our ego and we think the Guru is trying to do something or the people around are being bad. But what we don't understand is he's actually pulling out all these demons within us. He's removing our tendencies to give us that real understanding about what is the truth all about. That is exactly why the king and the Vaishya questioned the sage. They asked the most important question. Why are we both still attached to that? Though those people have all done wrong. And here, please let me tell you something very important today. My Guruji, he's Krishna Ma, the mother who takes care of all the children in this universe. He is that mother. That mother is the greatest mother on this planet Earth. Because, not even planet Earth, this entire universe, you can't find one other like him. Because he treats everybody like his child. Your mother can only look at you as only, her son, her baby. But she can't look at somebody else as her baby. My Guruji does. He wears out for everybody. But yet there are people who will walk out on that same Guru. Because they think the Guru is doing something wrong for them. What nobody understands is the Guru is doing the most beautiful thing. Only wish you could see the truth. What you see is Maya. The delusion which your mind instigates against you. And that is what we are going to learn in Devi Mahatmyam. Please remember, this Devi is you alone. To understand her greatness, you need to empower this Devi within you. Whether do you want to become the Devi or Asura, or go fall in the world of Maya, the choice lies with you. And that is what you're going to learn in this Devi Mahatmyam. How do you empower the Devi, the divine potentials which exist? Didn't you understand that every aspect of our body has a god? We say, this entire body has 3,33,000 crore gods and goddesses. Every portion of this body is a temple. To invoke and become great, that Devi, that is what you have to aspire. And that is an individual aspiration. But either to become the goddess or become a demon, the choice rests in your hand alone. Nobody can do that for you. So let us continue and see what happens. And this is the truth about everyone's life. O illustrious one, how is it that even to the knowledgeable, the delusion comes? Again, very important question. Even to the knowledgeable, even somebody has knowledge, the delusion comes. This ignorance has fallen on him and me, blind to the sense of discrimination. How wonderful they are. They're asking the most profound question. Blind to the sense of discrimination. We are not able to discriminate what is the truth and what is not truth. You look at the God. You look at, and we call him my mother, my father, my this and my that. And then what? We doubt that same being. This is the truth which we all have to understand and which we all have to evolve. See, the process of spirituality is not a joke. And purification of your heart and mind, and only then the surrender unto the lotus feet of the Guru can happen. Not with a dark heart and a dark, impure mind. You can never. And here he's asking the very, very important questions to the sage. The sage said, O illustrious one, there is a knowledge amongst all beings appertaining to their senses. And these senses operate in distinct fields. Some beings are blind by day, some blind by night. And some beings have equal vision by day as well as by night. It is true that men have knowledge, but are they the only ones? Birds, cattle and other animals all have knowledge. But the sage is beautiful in answering. What is he saying? He's saying, yeah, there is knowledge amongst all the beings appertaining to their senses. And among these senses, operate in distinct fields. We are actually doing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. And Lord Sri Krishna over there also is imparting the same lesson to Arjuna. Why is Arjuna emotional, infatuated, attached to his kith and kin and saying, I don't want to fight? Even his enemies, he's saying, I don't want to see my teacher die. What is this attachment? Isn't that also attachment? The senses. And even knowing fully well, the Lord is teaching him, yet he is not able to understand. And what did the sage say? The sage said something very interesting. Even to the knowledgeable, the delusion comes. But what knowledge are we talking? Are we talking the mundane knowledge or knowledge about the truth? Talking about the basic understanding. Like the king and the Vaishya had a understanding that yes, the kingdom is taken by my enemies, my ministers cheated me, and here my wife and my sons have thrown me out because of greed and everything, yet I am attached to them. That's the question they had. The quest is what they got it. And when this question comes to you, when you go to the sage, then only the sage will open up that real knowledge, the knowledge about the truth and what is missing. He says something very beautiful. Blind to the sense of discrimination. They don't understand. They're ignorant being. My Guruji posted this morning a very nice Facebook update. In that he said, I read on a barber's t-shirt written, when I was born, I was intelligent. After getting educated, I became ignorant. That is the truth. The education is not the mundane school and college and your M.Tech, B.Tech, MBA, IITs, IIMs. That is not the education. That's only a qualification required in this world. Because you're living in the material world, you need those certificates, the graduate certificates, so that you can fulfill your desires, joining a good job, taking up some fancy, going to fancy places, all sorts of things. It's a requirement. But the real knowledge is the knowledge about the truth. Like there's a very beautiful scripture which Adi Shankaracharya has written. And in that he's mentioned, the Gurukul teaches you how to have humility and humbleness. The first is how to become a good self. That is what you have to learn. That is the greatest knowledge to achieve. And once you attain that, then you will get other knowledge. The mundane knowledge is no use. It's only there so that you can live in this world. Besides that, there is nothing more use than that. It is there so that you can do your job very well. And you can make a living. That is what that knowledge is. But the real knowledge, the truth is, makes you a better human being. Makes you a divine being. And you will be able to redeem yourself. You can attain spiritual weal. That is the real knowledge that you need to have. So let us continue. The knowledge that beasts and birds have, men also have. And what the men have, they too have. It is same for both. So he's saying everybody has the same knowledge. Knowledge is universal. Nobody has less, nobody has more. But what is missing, let us understand. Look at these birds. They have the knowledge that they are afflicted by hunger. Yet, by delusion, they go on feeding grains into the beaks of their young ones. Wow, that is very powerful. O valorous among men, men love their children, coveting for a return. What do the men love? Men love their children, coveting for a return. Do you not perceive this from these birds? That is a very profound one. Even so, men are hurled into the whirlpool of minus, into the hollow of delusion by the power of Mahamaya, who institutes the continuance of this world. What does Mahamaya do? She keeps you in the delusion. That's called the attachment, mineness. It is my father, my brother, my sister, my children, my wife, my husband. That mineness, she binds you in that. That's what it's saying. He's saying, oh, valorous among men, men love their children, coveting for a return. What are they looking for? A return. They want, it's like a ROI. What is that? What does that mean? Okay, today I have a child. I am taking care. I'm sending them to good school, good college, everything. Expecting a return. That in old age, my son in turn takes care of me. I will be looked after. Coveting for a return. So it's a transaction. Please understand this truth. Every material worldly relationship is only a transaction. It's like you scratch my back and I will scratch your back. There is always a transaction in that. There is no unconditional love. You're not doing it because you're very much interested in that child. No, you're doing it as a duty. It's a programmed. And who keeps you in this delusion? That is called the power of Mahamaya. And why does she do it? Who institutes the continuance of this world. So the world keeps continuing. So you're going to be attached, and then you're going to be born again and again with the same people because of your karmic bondage, karmic debts. Please remember this. It's a very important truth. Nobody is interested. I actually gave a very beautiful story some time ago. I'm going to repeat this story. I met someone, and this someone was telling me, why don't you tell my son or daughter, to go and take up a job? I was like, why will I tell? No, the thing is, he doesn't seem to listen. I have invested in this. My children, I've invested a lot of money. I've sent them to a good school. I put them in, a convent education. I gave them a very good life. I put them in a hostel so that they can have a good living condition, so that someday they can take up a job and repay me and take care of me. That was this, the nuance, the finer nuance, the underlying nuance. That is what he's saying. I need my repayment. Coveting for a return. This is the truth. Please remember, your parents are not vested in your interest. They want a return from you. They think they have given birth. It's like a bank account. I put my money, I need return. My son and daughter is an investment. I am giving birth to them so that they can take care of me tomorrow. I have somebody to, ferry me around, like a driver, like a servant, all those things. That is what you become. You become the servant of your husband. You will become a servant of your wife. And you'll become servant of your parents, children, grandchildren, everybody. That is what it is. That is the truth you need to understand. Please remember, these are all profound truth. Till you don't understand what is that real purpose in your life and how do you really live a righteous life, you're going to be entangled in this. Because the Mahamaya keeps you bound because of the delusion and your own attachment, the mindness. And that is what the sage is teaching. And he is now going to tell you, how do you overcome that? That is also you're going to be taught, but you think you're actually going to learn. We are like a dog. The human nature is a dog's tail, which you'll never want to change at all. Let us see what happens. Let's pray to the grace of this Devi so that we empower ourselves and get out of that muck we are living in. By the way, I'm not told you, neither has the sage told you. It's a disclaimer, because tomorrow people can misconstrue saying, oh, she's telling that I should not have a family, I should not get married. No, I have not said any of those. Neither is the sage saying. He's just saying, how do you live and how do you understand the truth? How do you know who is your real and who is not your real? That is what is teaching. Nobody's saying that you should not get married. Nobody's saying you should not live the way you want. But there is a way to live. The way of life is very important. And that is what Bhagavad Gita teaches. That is what Uddhav Gita teaches. Every scripture teaches us that. That is also Devi Mahatmyam, which is teaching us. Because people's mind is very very fantastic. It has too much power. It can misconstrue any word and judge and throw back on that person some your own mind's muck. So please don't judge anybody, neither judge this great sage and the guru who is teaching us. This is Devi Mahatmyam. We are reading from the scriptures. So don't judge. If you don't want to follow, that's a choice that you have. Nobody is asking you to accept these lessons. It's a choice that you have. You need not be surprised. This Mahamaya is Yoga Nidra, super conscient sleep of Lord Hari, the Lord of the world. The world is deluded by her. She, the goddess, the divine Mahamaya, draws by force the minds of even the knowing ones and makes them over to delusion. Do you see the power of delusion, the Mahamaya? Even if somebody knows, even them she'll pull into the delusion. This revolving universe, containing all that is mobile and immobile, is cast out from her. She gracious grants the best and shows the way for men's release. What is she doing? She is very gracious, grants the best and shows the way for men's release. So she's teaching the way of life. What is it all about? Way. How do you get out of that? That is what you need to understand. Not go and still get deeper into that muck. She is the supreme knowledge, the eternal, the cause for liberation. She is who? Supreme knowledge, cause for the liberation, the eternal. She is eternal. And by the way, it's when we say Durga, all this, please remember, the form is only an active and a passive principle. The active is called Shakti. The passive is called the divine. like Shiva and Shakti, Purusha and Prakriti. So that is what it is all about. There is no male, female. It's only an active and a passive principle. Everybody has this Devi in them. It is not about a man and a woman. It is how you understand. The Adhyatmic truth is far greater than what you think from your petty mind. So don't understand with your mind. The goddess of all the gods, she too is the cause for bondage in samsara. What is she saying here? The goddess of all the gods, she too is the cause for bondage in samsara. The king said, Sire, who is that goddess whom you speak of as Mahamaya? How is she born? What wise born? What is her work? Very profound question. What power has she? What form? What source the goddess? Eminent amongst knowers of Brahman, I desire to hear all this from you. The sage said, she is eternal. The world is her embodiment. All this is pervaded by her. Even so, her birth is in many ways. Hear from me. Now the sage is going to narrate about who is this divine goddess. Whenever she manifests herself for the accomplishment of divine purpose, she, though eternal, is said to be born in the world. What is saying here? What are we talking about? Please remember, whenever she manifests herself for the accomplishment of divine purpose, like Lord Sri Krishna also says, when the dharma is prevailing, I manifest to establish dharma. There is a divine purpose. That is when she manifests. Please remember, it is not Kali or Durga. It is Lord Sri Krishna himself. It is Krishna Kali. You need to understand. It is Krishna himself, that is, because it is his Shakti. It is his power. The power is representation of the feminine aspect called the goddesses. The goddess, the mother of this universe. She's manifesting for accomplishment of a divine purpose. So she takes a body, she takes a form to serve the divine purpose of her Lord. She, though eternal, is said to be born in this world. At the end of a kalpa, when the world was made into one vast stretch of ocean, the mighty Lord spread his couch of Sesha and sank into a superconscious sleep. That's called the Yoga Nidra. Then two terrible asuras, the famed Madhu and Kaitaba, came into being out of the earwax of Vishnu and sought to kill Brahma. Now comes the first two demons. Now they have entered. Who is the first demons in our world? Madhu and Kaitaba. I will explain who they are. Let us continue, okay? I will explain in the end who this Madhu and Kaitaba are in our world, the Adhyatmic meaning. Brahma, the Lord of beings, was stationed in the navel lotus of Vishnu. Perceiving those fierce asuras and Vishnu sleeping, in order to awaken Hari, he praised Yoga Nidra, abiding in the eyes of Hari, with concentration in the heart. See, Brahmaji is also afraid. Even the gods are afraid of asuras. You know how funny that is? The Lord of Light extolled the sovereign of the universe, the upholder and sustainer of the worlds, the cause of preservation as well as destruction, the unparalleled sleep divine of Vishnu. Thou art Swaha, thou art Swadha, thou Ya, the world of Vashhat. The soul of sound, thou art well born in the eternal immutable Omkara. Thou standest in the form of the threefold Matra. Thou standest as the half the Matra, the eternal. Thou art that which cannot be specifically uttered. Thou only art the Sandhya. Thou art Savitri, goddess. Thou art Mother Supreme. The universe is held and sustained by thee. This world is created by thee, goddess. This is protected by thee. Finally, thou consumest this always. O thou who has become the world when casting out, thou takest the form of creation when protecting, the form of preservation, Similarly, at the termination of the world, thou takest the form of destruction. Great knowledge, great illusion, great intellect, great remembrance, great delusion. Thou art great goddess, great sovereign. Thou art the Prakriti, Mother Nature, of everything manifesting the three gunas. Thou, the dark night, the great night, the terrible night of delusion. Thou art beauty, sovereignty. Thou art modesty, intellect, the sign of knowledge. Bashfulness, nourishment, contentment art thou. Also, tranquility and forbearance. Thou hast the sword, thou hast the spear. Terrible thou hast the mace and the discus. Thou hast the conch, the bow, the arrows, the sling, and the iron club. So here they are invoking the Devi and they are telling how great she is. Thou art pleasing, more pleasing than all the pleasing things. Thou art exceedingly beautiful, the lofty one, beyond the superior and the inferior. Thou alone art the supreme sovereign. O soul of all, whatever may be a thing, existent or non-existent, the power, Shakti in all those things is thyself. How can I praise thee? She can't be even praised. That is the greatness and vastness of this Devi. By thee has been put to sleep the one who creates the world, preserves the world and consumes the world. So who here has the capacity to extol thee? By thee, Vishnu, myself and Ishvara have been made to take an embodied form. Therefore, who has the power to praise thee? O Devi, lauded thus by thine own eloquent powers, delude these two unassailable asuras, Madhu and Kaitaba. Let Achyuta, the master of the world, be speedily brought to the waking state. Make him wise for slaying these great asuras. This is how Lord Brahma praised and invoked, and he's praying to her to wake up Lord Hari, the Achyuta who's sleeping. And what is it? Make him wise for slaying. That's very funny. The sage said, thus lauded by Brahma in order to awaken Vishnu for killing Madhu and Kaitaba, the goddess of inertia emerged out of Vishnu's eyes, mouth, nose, arms, heart and chest, and came to the vision of Brahma, who takes birth from the unmanifest. Released by her, Vishnu, the Lord of the world, got up from his bed of snake, that is Adishesh, on the absolute ocean. There he saw them, Madhu and Kaitaba, the wicked ones of exceeding valor and prowess, red in the eyes with anger, endeavoring to eat up Brahma. Rising up, the Lord Hari fought with them for 5,000 years with his bare arms as weapon. Oh my God, isn't this sounding so funny? Are you imagine Vishnu sleeping, and then there is Madhu and Kaitaba, who's born from the wax of Lord Vishnu himself, from his own ear. And then here Brahma is afraid, and these Rakshasas, the Asuras, want to eat Brahmaji. And now he's afraid, so he's praying because Vishnu is not waking up. It's so funny, right? What does this all mean? There's a profound truth to this, and let me explain. Let me finish this and then give you the explanation. Intoxicated with their excessive power, deluded by Mahamaya, they told Vishnu, choose a boon for us. The Lord said, may you too be slain by me. Isn't that very funny? The Asuras are telling the Lord, choose a boon for me. May you two people be slain by me. It sounds very funny, don't you think? He's the master of this universe and he's fighting them, for 5,000 years, bare arms as weapon. That's very funny. What does that mean? That means something very interesting. Let us understand. So what other boon is there to ask? This much I have chosen. So Vishnu is saying, please, you have to die. That is a boon I will choose. What else can I ask you people? Vishnu is choosing a boon with these Rakshasas. That is very, very funny, okay? Deceived thus, these two, seeing the whole world full of water, said to the lotus-eyed Lord, kill us where the earth is not inundated with water. The sage said, so be it, said the Lord, the wielder of the conch, the discus and the mace. Taking them on his loins, he severed their heads with his discus. Thus lauded by Brahma, she was born of her own accord. Listen, I shall tell you more of the glories of the goddess. So we have come to the end of the first episode. Now let me give you an explanation before I end today's Parayan. So who is Madhu and Kaitaba? Madhu means what? Sweet. Honey, Have you heard people who talk very sweetly? They're very sweet. They will kill you with their sweet talk itself. People tell me I speak very bitter. I say it on their face. It's a way of talking. I don't know sometimes how to be diplomatically, How do you give a bitter medicine with a sugar coating? That's an art. But sweet talkers are beyond that also. They will talk very sweetly to you. They will say nice things about you. They'll praise you to heavens. But please remember, they don't have a good intention for you. They will backstab you. The same sweet talkers will destroy your life. Whatever they say is they don't mean a damn thing. Let me tell you this much. Never ever trust a sweet talker. And who is this Kaitaba? So Madhu is the people who appear in your world to be very goody-goody, very nice. They'll speak always sweetly to you. But please go and see what they do around. They will go and tell bad things about you to other people. They will even not hesitate to backstab you at any point in time. They will kill you with their sweet talk itself. Never trust a man who talks very sweetly to you. Never go by his sweet talks. That's number one. That is the demon. You need to learn to recognize people. The next is Kaitaba. Kaitaba is what? It's that demon which covers you, which makes you deaf. It doesn't allow you to listen to that inner voice, the Lord within you. That is why, Vishnu had to fight 5,000 years. What does it mean? We shut our ears to the words of the God, that voice within us, which is telling, don't do this. Don't, that little voice is always saying the right thing to you. But that gets covered. So the demon is never going to allow you to listen to that inner voice. The voice inside of you is very louder. Louder of whose? The mind's voice. One which is causing you, delusions. It is instigating you. Look at, your friends, all these people are cheating you. Forget about that. It's instigating you against your God. It is telling your guru is bad. Look at this person. She is bad. She talks to you like this. She behaves with you like this. She has said this. She's a bad person. Oh, what God is she? She's not even worthy of anything. Who has made her this? Those are your mind talks. That is what Kaitaba. It instigates. It never allows you to listen to the divine Lord. Because Kaitaba is covering that voice. The God's voice is completely covered because you're given into listening to the demons within you. Please remember, these things are only going to pull you down. And Vishnu is fighting these demons for 5,000 years so that you can rise above to listening to that inner voice. Isn't that God so great? And we petty human beings who fall prey to our minds, delusions, judgments and whatnot without having an iota of knowledge. And we learnt what knowledge means. And yet knowing, we do these mistakes. Why? The gods in your life, you treat them as some enemies. And the same enemies, you will treat them as gods. That is what it wants. This is what delusion means. In front of you, you have the God. Today, you have the opportunity. And tomorrow, that God might not exist in front of you. And that time, are you going to regret? What's the point? When you have that moment with the divine. We don't want to live that moment. We always think that they are doing something bad to us. But please remember, they are not the one who's doing bad to you. Your mind is doing bad to you. Your mind is the demon, that demon within you, which you listen to. You think that is the truth. So what happened to that spiritual knowledge, lesson, devotion, all that you said? You've forgotten everything, is it? So your mind, Kaitaba, has covered all that. That voice is not heard at all within you. This is the Adhyatmic truth of who Madhu and Kaitab is, who are in your life. And don't fall prey. See, today your wife will say very sweet, oh, my husband I love. And you will say to your wife, oh, my wife I love, my children I love them so much. So one thing, she might not be happy with you. She's going to call you names. Then what happens? Where did all that, oh, my wife is the greatest, all that, what happens? Are you going to throw her out then? Because she called you names? Or you're going to tell, oh, I am not loved, I need sweet talks. Are you going to tell your wife, I need sweet talks? She's going to give you galis. She's going to call you names. Are you ready for that? Are you going to throw her out if she does all that? Or are you going to give her 2 tight slaps? Or you're going to call her names? I don't know what you will do. But this is how the world lives. This is how the flimsy mindness, that expectations, that sweet talk. I want sweet talk. You know, my Guruji taught a very powerful lesson, my Krishna Guruji, many years ago. When he was teaching me to understand the truth about life, he said, don't fall for sweet talks. Not that I have not gone through this journey in my life. I've understood life in a hard way. But accepting the reality is what is taking time sometimes. See, even as a body, what did we read? The divine goddess manifests. She becomes an embodiment. And she has to serve the divine purpose. The gods are born for a purpose. My Guruji, Krishna Guruji, he's a divine being, Paramatma, manifesting in a body. People make judgment looking at a body. Never do that. The body is there to serve a purpose. Because of that body today, we are having the grace. This kavacha is there, where nothing shall befall us. The knowledge will come to us. He purifies. He's removing our ignorance. That is the greatest knowledge, the greatest education one can ever get in their own life. No, your parents wouldn't have taught, your school wouldn't have taught, your college wouldn't have taught, no people, no company. That is the kind of knowledge which a guru gives. And we need to abide and live by that knowledge. Not destroy and give a bad name and earn a bad name to him by behaving badly or, showing what kind of a lesson we have learned from him. It reflects very badly on the master, not you. Nobody points us to the disciples or the devotees. They will point to the guru, saying, what kind of a guru is it? Has the guru ever taught anything bad to anybody? Or is it your own mind, the demons that is there? Who has to fight the mind? It is you. And this is what Devi Mahatmyam is all about. How do you fight the demons within? With the power, with the goddess within you, with the divine being, empower her, kill the demons and become divine being. That is all Devi Mahatmyam is all about. There is nothing more than that. Every scripture talks the same thing, whether it is Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhav Gita, everything talks about it. There is no scripture on this planet Earth which doesn't teach us this. Yet what do we humans do? We become petty. We fall prey to the delusion, that mind of ours, the demon within us. We actually empower the demon, not the divine. And that is why Vishnu had to fight this Madhu and Kaita. Please, I'm asking a boon from you. And the boon is you people have to die. Isn't that sounds very funny? You think Vishnu doesn't have the power? But till that time, you don't wake up within. That is what we say. Till you don't rise, the God can't do anything. See, remember, Lord Shri Krishna is only a witness. He's not going to fight the battle. The Devi has to fight the battle. And you will see how she's going to be given the weapons by the gods. In the next episodes, we will learn that. How she becomes the Devi. The greatness of the Devi is what we are understanding. You are that Devi. You need to empower the divinity within you. It is not about a man, woman. Each one of you is that Devi. Empower that goddess within you and become great. That is what is Devi Mahatmyam all about. There is no God outside. The God is me within, and empower. And please remember, you don't need somebody to tell you you're a God or not a God or all that. Please remember, you need to have the conviction you are that goddess. Nobody needs to give you a validation or a proof. And if you don't believe something, you don't go fall and pray there. Till that Vishwas, Atal, firmness, that truth about, yes, this is my Ma, this is my goddess. Don't even bow down till you don't achieve that. That is what you need to have. Devi Mahatmyam is all about that. First, invoke that God is within you. There is no God outside of us. That is what spirituality means. Understanding that I am that spirit, I am that Paramatma, and not this body. Body, what we learned? Body is only a vehicle. You take this form so that you evolve on that path, not so that you can waste your life and destroy yourself. There is no use for your existence. And what have we learned? The reason why we manifest, why you have been given this body, is to serve a divine purpose. The purpose is what is required today. And every word is the words of my Krishna Guruji alone. This body has no knowledge. And today, whatever I am and whoever I will be, it is because of the greatness of my Guruji, Krishna Guruji, the divine being who has manifested to impart this profound truth in this world. And I am eternally grateful for being his disciple and devotee and to serve his purpose alone. With that, I end my satsang here today, the Devi Mahatmyam Parayan. I'm Om. Here ends the first of Devi Mahatmyam in Markandeya Purana during the period of Savarni, the Manu. I hope you understood today's lesson. It is a very, very, very important lesson. I know we have taken a long time. It's more than an hour. And if you have stayed on till this entire satsang, thank you so much. Please make use of this lesson to become that greatest goddess and God that you are. There is no God outside. Empower that divinity and become great in your own world. Thank you once again for joining the Devi Mahatmyam. See you all tomorrow morning, same time. Once again, wishing you all a very happy Navratri. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara, Shri Pad Vallabha Digambara, Om Shri Krishna Guru Nathanatha, Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Devi Durgaye Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.